Good morning to all the viewers. Now, welcome to NPTEL course on educational leadership. Today, we will discuss about educational management and leadership. What do we mean by educational management? How it is different from educational leadership? We will elaborately discuss about educational management and leadership. Then, what is the background of educational leadership? In this post-globalized era, we are facing lot of challenges. The challenges are like social and ethnic violence, inequality, terrorism, climate change, global warming, all kinds of unemployment, corruption, bad governance, all kinds of issues we are dealing with. And in this social context, education plays a very vital role. Hence, we need to develop, groom, nurture many educational leaders who will be the right person to help us in mitigating these 21st century challenges and number of challenges. In different countries, different types of issues, social conflict, crisis, all kinds of things, and in Indian context we are also facing lots of challenges. So, how our educational leaders can help us in mitigating these 21st century challenges, and for that reason how the future leaders should behave in a way. The future leaders will not only need to possess new knowledge and skills. So, now here we cannot manage with that traditional knowledge, traditional skills. They need to develop new knowledge, new skills, aptitude, motivation, capabilities. So, to face these challenges, to mitigate these challenges. So, hence this we need to possess, we need to develop certain qualities, capabilities and efficiency in case of our new leaders, new generation of leaders who should possess the new knowledge, skills, but also be called upon to display high level of emotional and spiritual wisdom and maturity. It is not just enough to acquire new knowledge, skills and aptitude, or simultaneously they need to acquire and possess high level of emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, wisdom, maturity to deal with every kinds of situation, critical situation, conflicts in a very effective and strategic way. Second thing is that a leader can be anyone regardless of the formal position. When we talk about educational leaders, it is not necessary that the educational leaders are have to be from within the institutions. They can be outsiders. They can be from the other organizations. So, it is not that mandatory that the educational leader has to have a formal position, who serves as and who is supposed to serve as a social agent. So, hence, here another expectation is that the educational leader, we expect him to act like a social agent, change agent, who can bring the sudden change, transformation in our society, who can make our quality of life much better. And second, the educational goal of leadership development has been given little attention in the higher education till date. So, if we explore the research literature in the open source domain, we can find out primarily educational leadership means the school leadership. So, how to run the schools more effectively, more efficiently, how to make the schools very unique in terms of curricular, co-curricular activities, students learning outcomes. So, till date it has been, we have been talking about leadership only in the context of schools only. But nowadays, of late only, post globalization era, in 21st century only, now all of us, all across the globe, all the educationists, policy makers, we are realizing that it's not important only in case of the school section, school education, but all across the levels of education. So, hence the leadership development has been given little attention till date, but now it has been immensely realized that it is equally and highly important in all levels of education, across the institution, across the types of education, across the country and across the situation. So, the leadership concept. Now, what are the specific features of educational leadership concept? As we have already discussed, the leader can be a formal leader who has become the leader of being a headmaster, principal or vice chancellor, register, etc. by virtue of his seniority etc. But another thing is the leader can also emerge from the mass. Hence, an educational leader can also emerge from the mass only, from among the stakeholders, from among the teachers, from among the community. So, what are the specific characteristics and features and focus the educational leaders must possess? So, the leadership is independent of positional authority, while the management is linked directly to it. When you talk about leadership in the schools in terms of the administration, in terms of the authority, in terms of the management, we talk about it is a hierarchical organizations, and the leader has become by virtue of seniority, and his primary job is to manage the responsibility being given to him by the authority, and so it automatically defines in terms of some positional authority where he is supposed to manage and run the institution effectively. Whereas leadership is much above that. Leadership is independent of all these positional authorities, beyond that management and transactional things. It is beyond that managing the educational institutions. So, the central concept is influence in case of leadership rather than authority. So, in educational leadership, when we talk about the leadership in the education context, it becomes it's the key concept comes in influence, influencing others' performance, influencing others' behavior, influencing the outcomes, influencing the environment, bringing change in the environment. So, the major concept is here influence. The second thing is that the leadership process is also intentional. It has a goal, it has an ambition, it has a perspective, it has a objective to achieve. So, it's intentional in order to achieve certain purposes. In educational leadership, when you talk about the leadership in educational context, we have specific purposes, goals, objectives, visions and missions, and we intend to achieve it. The leader intends to achieve it. And moreover, leadership is linked with values, ethics and vision. When you talk about the leadership in educational context, it means values, ethics, morals, visions, a code of conduct, generosity, honesty, all kinds of values, all kinds of moral conducts, all kinds of ethical standards, visions, missions, etc. So, in the context of educational leadership, has only recently overtaken the management. Till date, by educational leadership, primarily people used to think that it's like managing the institution, running the institution, transacting the day-to-day activities and running it effectively. But it is not like that. In the context of education, leadership has recently taken over the management. It is not just management, it is not just running the business, but it is going above that, achieving the visions and missions and targets. So which can bring significant development, and this emphasis, this paradigm shift has taken place because of the numerous education policies and the new paradigm, new critical thinking of all our educational policy makers, the global education ranking, then the quality of education and accreditation, all kinds of educational issues. Because of all these things and all kinds of innovative changes in educational policy, so the educational leadership has actually taken over the concept of management. So, leadership, so as we know, leadership, it links to values, goals and purposes. Every kind of leadership, be it in the corporate or in the organizations or the NGOs, whatever sector, leadership is automatically it reminds us following certain values, ethics, goals, purposes. Automatically it comes into the picture as a characteristics, as the desired quality of a particular leader or the leadership as such. So, while management, it just relates to the transactions, implementation of the technical issues, like the transacting the day-to-day activities, carrying on the administrative jobs, carrying on the examination job, carrying on the different kinds of curricular and co-curricular activities. So, leadership automatically links to the high level of values, morals, goals, purposes, and there is a need for managing towards a clear educational purposes and goals, rather than management of the institution as an end itself. So, in today's context, our focus is to have very clear and specific educational goals, purposes and objectives in every educational institution at any level, be it the vocational, be it liberal education, be it professional education, be it school education, be it higher education, whatever, we must develop clear educational purposes and goals which are directly or indirectly related to the social well-being, social welfare, social upliftment, and all kinds of the social empowerment, equality, and resolving all kinds of the critical issues, social problems, and which is much beyond management, which is so management education till date we have been studying the concept, studying the paper educational management. Educational management is only transacting the things. Now the time has come with the new paradigm. Educational leadership has gone much above, much beyond that management concept, and it is considered as the second most important factor next to the students' learning outcomes or performance. Till date, that means in the traditional education system, our primary focus is on how to transact the teaching, activities, how to deliver the lecture, how to prepare the curriculum, how to design the content, how to evaluate the performance outcome, how to set the instructional objectives. All these are curricular related to teaching and learning situation, examination, evaluation, etc. But now in today's context, the teacher's role has been changed, the student's role has been changed. It is more student centric, more child centric, more learner centric, and more in a kind of more that is nowadays we are adopting more a kind of cafeteria approach where the students have the different options, varieties of options to select, to choose their subjects, etc. And teacher's role has been minimized, you can say minimized to be a facilitator, to a mentor, but again it has also been diversified. It has become multifarious in terms of not only designing the curriculum content, etc., but evaluating the performance, mentoring, then maintaining the parent-teacher relationship, community service, all kinds of things. So here the teacher has primarily become more as a facilitator, as a mentor, as a guide, as a counselor, and the primary objective is to make the learner a self-learner, more motivated towards his own goals, self-learning goals, etc. So here now that is why in 21st century the slogan for the education is that leadership for learning. Here we have to develop a culture, we have to develop an environment, an atmosphere where learning is more important. How to learn? So we have to educate the children, educate our students how to learn effectively, how to learn. So we have to create a lifelong continuous learning environment, learning atmosphere where our focus is on learning. It is not just examination specific, degree specific, content specific, subject specific, but our focus is primarily on lifelong learning. So hence we need the leaders to stimulate, to encourage, to motivate the learners for the lifelong learning. So leadership for learning is replacing the previous emphasis on managing the curriculum or the instructional leadership. So earlier we used to say the instructional leaders, the headmasters, the principals, the educational leaders, their primary focus was to manage the curriculum, manage the academic program, and to enhance the performance, enhance the students' learning outcomes, etc., etc. But as soon as it is achieved, then their job is over, or the students, the learners, they think that yes, their task is over. Now they are free to move around, go to the next step, etc. But now in present days culture, because with the open source of knowledge and knowledge economy, etc., our primary focus is on how to learn continuously, how to create an environment where learning will be of the primary focus. So leadership for learning, we need the leaders, our educational leaders, for creating that learning culture. So to build a learning culture as a way of professional life. So doesn't matter whether we are a teacher, we are a student, we are a mentor, we are a curriculum designer, or we are just a administrative officer, whatever, our primary focus is to continue our learning, the lifelong learning, to update our knowledge, to improve our learning, and that should be a part of our life, that should be a part of our professional life as well as the personal life. So, to build a learning culture as a way of professional life. So, then again, to produce the transformative leaders to devise effective solutions for many of our critical social problems. Now, if we want that our students would be our future leaders, and they should also possess certain qualities, certain moral conduct, certain things, then we have to model those behaviors. If you want that our future generation should act as a effective educational leader, they should possess certain good qualities, morals, ethics, etc., then we have to act as the role models presently. So, our focus is again on to produce the transformative leaders who can devise effective solutions for many of our social problems. So, it is not just about that means it is not that the leaders, educational leaders job is not over by just achieving the educational goals or vision and mission of the institution, but to go beyond that institution, that is how to serve the society, how to uplift the society, how to uplift the quality of life of our people. So, for that matter we need the transformative leaders. There are different types of leaders: transactional leaders, charismatic leaders, democratic leaders, task oriented leaders, different kinds of leaders, but we want to produce transformative leaders who can bring effective change, drastic change, positive change in our society, and who can help us in resolving many of our social problems. However, presently all our educational leaders, they are facing lots of challenges. We will just discuss one by one what are those challenges, they are currently facing in different educational institutions. First thing is that they are expected to play a role as a change agent. So, their primary focus, like we expect that our teachers should bring change, modification, upliftment in the society. So, they must act as a change agent, or change catalyst, we can say. So, and they are supposed to take some change initiative to train their faculty, to train their staff, and to prepare future leaders, etc. And also they must develop and they must inculcate high values, professional values, ethics, transparency, all kinds, and accountability, all kinds of positive quality among the staff, among the students, among the future leaders, etc. But to what extent they have been successful, they have been capable, they have been successful in achieving those things? Because often it is seen that while carrying out the day-to-day tasks, activities, administrative workloads, etc., they are overburdened with so many administrative and routine workloads that hardly they think about any innovative change, hardly they think about any new way of bringing or developing a content, new way of transacting a curriculum, a new way, or any new or innovative pedagogy, or to examine or to just experiment on any kind of new things in the educational context. So, hardly they get time, they are overburdened with so many workloads that they get any time to bring change. Rather, they become the target of change agent, in the sense that whatever it has been prescribed by the superior, by the authority, by the seniors, by the superior boss, etc., they just carry on and transact those things on a regular basis. So, they don't have time to think about bringing any new change in the modus operandi, in the curriculum, in the pedagogy, or any kind of reform in the educational institution. Second thing comes here, providing the value-driven vision. So, here is that we have to, again, in the education context, we have to link the vision with the practice. It is not just about talking about the high sounding visions, values, missions, etc., and not implementing all those things in the educational context. So, here how to link the vision to the practice. So in the workplace also, for that reason, in the workplace we have to engage all our staff, communicating them, elaborating them, narrating them about the visions, the missions, and the missions of our our goals, of our education, of the objectives of the institution, how to go beyond that. So they have to find out some time out of their busy schedule and orient and communicate their staff regularly, on the regular basis, about the vision, in the vision and mission and the goals and the action plans. In fact, the action plans for implementing the time bound way to achieve those goals. So this is the second thing, providing the value driven, how to drive the staff towards the values, visions of the educations and the higher life goals. Second thing is that managing the staff relation. It is the biggest challenge. It is the most difficult challenge that nowadays all the leaders, presently the administrators, the leaders, the principals, the vice chancellors, they are facing, because managing the human resource is the biggest challenge. Because all of us we are different. So if the institution, it has the 3,000 employees, 10,000 employees, means there is diversity, wide range of diversity in terms of their characteristics, their needs, their aspirations, their their background, their knowledge, their temperament, everything. In every respect they are different. So how to manage this diverse workforce? That is the biggest challenge. How to manage the diverse workforce? So here you have to develop, the leader has to develop a kind of, all alone he cannot manage everything, he cannot do all the works, he has to anyhow, he has to deliver certain things, he has to delegate certain things, he has to share certain things, he has to build different kinds of teams, groups to take over the responsibility. So it is he has to distribute the work, he has to distribute the, so here we need to have a greater sharing of the responsibility, and for that matter he has to build up the culture, work culture. So he has, being the leader, he has lot of responsibility. So how to share it with others, how to distribute it among others, and how to ensure that they do it effectively, they do it sincerely. So he has to achieve a dynamic balance between coping with the current realities and keeping the strategic eye. That means, again, moreover, in most of the educational institutions, very few actually they are resource rich, that means they are very having the enriched environment, etc. They don't have any constraints of resources, etc. But whereas the other government, some of the government school, government institutions, there is a resource crunch. They are having the limited resources. So here the principal or the leader or the or the headmaster is under constant pressure how to manage with these limited resources. So all the time he is always thinking of any strategic step, new step to manage effectively, but within the limited resource. So all the time he acts within the constraint of limited resources. So he has to always cope up with the current realities, like I have this much of money, this much of manpower, this much of time, this much of this finance, etc. within that resource crunch, and I have to somehow manage it. So they are always under pressure to comply with, somehow to comply with the authorities' requirements, somehow to comply with the management responsibilities. So they don't have neither sufficient time nor resources to think for the future. So that is another challenge. That again, so managing staff relationship, again with that resource crunch, within the constraints of so many factors, then how to motivate your staff, to become more committed towards the responsibilities, how to maintain the healthy interpersonal relationship, how to you invest your time and resources for achieving the outstanding performance outcome, how to motivate your staffs to be committed. So all kinds of things, and again at the same time how to inculcate the core values, among your staff, among your teaching and non-teaching staff, how to maintain the healthy relationship, how to delegate the authority, then how to link your strategic vision with the day-to-day practice, how to implement it. All kinds of things, it requires a in a lot of personal responsibility as well as the professional responsibility. So the leader is always under constant pressure of managing the staff relationship, managing somehow the responsibility, how to delegate it, how to deal with. Again, another challenge is how to deal with poor performance. If the institution, if the organization has the 10,000 employees, means 10,000 types of individuals having 10,000 different characteristics, expectations, needs, abilities, etc., etc. Out of them, some will be excellent, some will be outstanding, some will be of mediocre, and some maybe that largely they will be of poor performance. Then again, another challenge is how to deal with the poor performance, So he has to draw a clear cut line to deal with the critical issues, like how to deal with the poor performance, how to identify the teachers or the staff having the poor performance, how to train them, how to counsel them, how to enhance their motivation, how to make them more committed towards the performance, and at the same time how to play the multiple roles while transacting the administrative duties and responsibilities. So this is the third challenge, and the fourth challenge is the balancing the personal and the professional responsibilities. So all the teachers, all the educational leaders, being the individual, they are having their own personal needs. They are having their own personal needs and the professional needs. So sometimes they think that if they carry on sincerely the professional responsibilities, they may neglect the personal improvement, personal performance, personal career, etc. So sometimes they feel like they are as if they are out of balance. So and even though technology is there, sometimes technology also cannot help them in maintaining the work-life balance, and so hardly they get the chance to learn to improve their performance through the experiments, through the experiences they gain, through the expertise they gain, or to continue their learning. So hardly they get the opportunity, and sometimes they become demotivated actually, because they are not being able to give equal attention or due attention to their professional, personal improvement, personal career, or fulfilling their personal career needs. Upon it, relationship development, relationship among the staff, relationship between the teachers and the students, and the principal and the subordinates, etc. So how to balance the personal and the professional responsibilities, that is another biggest challenge for the educational leaders. Then comes your communicating effectively and leading towards the continuous change. So here now, with this, one important factor that has emerged, that is the communicating. How to communicate effectively to everybody, to the internal stakeholders, to the external stakeholders, the teachers, the staffs within the educational institution, the people in the community, the parents, then your authorities. So all kinds of communication, and for that matter, in order to make the communication effective, we have to be very particular about the timing. What should be the timing? What should be the content? What should be the mode? What should be the whether it should be face-to-face communication, or whether it's a telephonic communication, it's a formal, it's a informal. So all kinds of things comes in. So here our motto, our focus is how to make that communication more effective. So communicating effectively and leading to continuous change. If the communication becomes effective, then there will be meaningful engagement, then there will be successful engagement among the staff, among the employees, among the students, among the teachers, and a dialogue, and there will be continuous dialogue with the staff. So because dialogue, conversation, face-to-face communication is the most effective one. So for getting meaningful engagement, the dialogue is the best method. So and again it's the leader's job not only to communicate effectively, to lead towards the continuous change, to bring effective positive outcome at the change, but again how to, that means to rectify or be very vigilant about the misinterpretations of the message, how to communicate effectively, that what is the actually correct interpretation of the message, what it intends to say, etc., and how to overlook all the gossips and the myths about the different issues, etc., and how to communicate effectively again the values and the missions of the organizations, and how these values and visions can inspire also others. So a communication is just like a flow, is a flow of fountain, etc. It goes downwards all the time, and and once it has been sent, when it has never comes back. So that is why we have to be very careful and very cautious about the communication process, communication flows. How the, that means sometimes through communication our values are, should be explicitly visible, observable also. So both the often very often we can interchangeably use both the formal communication method, formal and the informal communication method, for strengthening our networking, our relationship, our partnership, our alliance, etc. And but at the same time we have to be very sensitive about what is happening in and around, and what are its impact on others. So because it also communication also, it directly affects the self esteem, self efficacy, self respect of the people. So however, so and communication should not always be top to bottom, but often it has to be circular, it has to be down, bottom up kind of approach. So it's it's a huge task of the leader to maintain a balance, to strike a balance between all kinds of communication approaches. And again at the same time he has to develop a network, is network, not only the professional network within the organization, but network outside the organizations, outside the organization. He has to update himself, about what is happening in and around, what is happening all across the globe, what is the latest innovative practices, what are the new pedagogies, what are the new technology. And at the same time we have to shift our organizational structure also, like in our educational institution, the organizational structure should be more kind of flatter kind of organizations, more a kind of less hierarchies and more flatter, more horizontal kind of, so that everybody feels that they are equal, they are equally important. Then it can create a kind of democratic work culture, where everybody can share their opinions, views, suggestions, etc. So we have to shift from a hierarchical model to more a kind of inclusive and transformational kind of leadership model. So we have to think of a new paradigm shift in terms of leadership qualities, capabilities, context, situations, policies, all kinds of a new paradigm shift we need in our educational context, educational sector. Now, next challenge is that managing accountability and individual performance. Again, being the leader, being the teacher, being the professionals, we are accountable to various stakeholders. We are accountable to our authority, we are accountable to society, we are accountable to our students, we are accountable to our parents, we are accountable to society, all kinds of stakeholders. So how to manage those accountabilities, how to manage those, because constantly the leaders are under pressure, to perform, to improve their performance outcomes, to improve their performance. So all the time that means they are all the time they are juggling in between the limited time, limited resources, and how to deliver the best, so constantly they are under pressures. So they have to juggle, that means between the time framework, with the stipulated time framework, with the limited resources, and the desired or expected outcomes. So somehow they have to so the contemporary leaders, they perceive that how to formulate certain strategic approach, some strategic objectives against that insufficient resources, that constraints, that time limit, that time framework. So sometimes they have to be very strong, very harsh, and sometimes they have to be very soft and polite. So they have to switch on and off in between the hard and soft approaches to carry forward, to discharge their responsibilities. So how to maintain that balance between the personal responsibilities, the workload assigned to them, then the vision for the future, the teamwork, and what is the teamwork, and what is desirable, what is expected from them, and what are the different kinds of the developmental approach, so to deliver their accountability. So dealing with, so these are so many challenges. That means how to manage the accountability in the context of limited time, limited resources, poor performance of the teachers, demotivated staff. So how to ensure, again at the same time, how to ensure the student, how to ensure that the students learning outcome is very satisfactory, is how to satisfy the parents expectations. So that is another challenge, how to ensure the best possible outcome of the students. And again how the teachers poor performance can be managed, can be handled, can be identified, and can be dealt with training and continuing education programs. Again at the same time, how to make the whole administrative functions as well as the education evaluation examination system more transparent, because transparency and accountability also go hand in hand. So if you are accountable to certain things, then you have to maintain the transparency. So strong and transparent evaluation system, feedback mechanism, so all kinds of things are required. And at the same time, going beyond that, that is after completing all these kinds of responsibility, duties, this and that, performance outcome, etc., then you have to think beyond. That is the thinking of the creative solutions to ensure that the educational leaders continue to be professionally challenged. That means all the time the educational leaders, they have to face one or other professional challenges. At the being the some of the challenges are personal, some of the challenges are the professional, some of the challenges are how to bring the solutions to some of the critical problems that exist. The problems can be related to decision making, the problems can be related to how to deal with some complex issues and administrative things. Then so again, moreover that, beyond that, again it not just to deal with the poor performance of the teachers, to motivate them, to identify them and to send them for the rigorous training, and again after coming back from the training, how they can utilize the resources, how they perform well, and again at the same time how to tap the talents also, because in the educational field also we need to identify and tap the talents also. So again so many senior teachers, expert teachers are retiring day by day. So when they retire, they go back, they leave the organization, they leave the institution, the knowledge and experience also goes back with them. So how to tap them, how to identify them, how to leverage their expertise, how to leverage their knowledge, how to leverage their experience. So that is another challenge. That is the so not only for tapping and identifying and the talent and experienced persons, experienced people, etc., but utilize their talents, utilize their expertise, utilize their experience for their wisdom and experience for our institutional development. So for that reason, we have to again as we have already discussed, we have to again develop in a culture of learning where we can share our knowledge, we can share our wisdom, we can share our practice, we can have a continuous dialogue with both young teachers, dialogue with experienced teacher, so we can work together, we can create a community of knowledge workers, community of learners, community of professionals. So where we can share and care and improve and nurture our innovative practices, our pedagogy as curriculum, and at the end also character building of our students, character building of our future leaders. So again at the same time, we have to maintain a work-life balance in between our personal life, personal needs, personal goals, as well as the professional needs, professional responsibilities, professional aspirations, how to achieve the vision, mission, goals of our institution, and again how to contribute for the society, So for that reason, again we need to adopt certain certain workplace practices, like in the, so that means workplace practices like how to make it more flexible, how to make it more democratic, how to make it more a kind of sharing the responsibility, how to make it more people friendly, how to make it more employee friendly, staff friendly. So here the biggest challenge is the managing, not only managing the accountability to whom we are accountable, all kinds of stakeholders, but at the same time also we have to improve, we have to manage and improve our individual performance. These are some of the issues and challenges now we have discussed. Then later on we will continue about the other issues.